I'm not going to call myself an expert hiker, but I've been avidly enjoying the activity for a few decades now. I've traversed all the major trails in America and visited over 75% of this beautiful country's national parks. As such, I've had to find new ways to excite myself. Recently, I picked up a new hobby, scouring Google Maps for vast, unnamed forests and exploring them. It's a little unconventional, but I think the added excitement is worth the risk of getting lost, or at least I did. I carry a pack of homemade route making stickers that I periodically slap onto trees so I don't forget my way back. As I pass each one, I pull them off to ensure I leave no litter behind. I'm surprised more people haven't picked up on this trick. It makes getting lost in a forest nearly impossible, but this time things were different. This trip, I had decided to explore Dudleytown Forest in Connecticut, which would probably give any normal person pause. If you don't know, the whole town has been abandoned since 1800, and there are all sorts of creepy accounts about strange occurrences. You should look it up if you are into that kind of thing. Me, I'm not. I'm not superstitious and I don't believe in ghost stories. Technically, this forest is off limits to the public, but that hasn't stopped me before. As I saw it, I was basically guaranteed to not encounter anyone in those woods, which is usually what I go for. Since I'm from New England, the drive wasn't too bad either. I entered the woods around noon to ensure I'd finish my hike before sundown. My first impression, it was freaky. I had heard the forest was eerily silent, but I was still shocked when I experienced it firsthand. You don't really notice the subtle sound of nature until they're gone. Imagine closing your eyes in a silent room and only being able to hear your own breathing. That's what it was like. I had been in forest void of animals before, so I kept walking, placing my stickers as I went, trying to shake off the eerie feeling. I kept thinking I would eventually stumble upon an animal or at least some sign of life, but I didn't. After a while, I found myself hoping to encounter another person. That's how unsettled I was. And then the silence stopped bothering me altogether. For the first time since stepping in those woods, I felt calm. But it didn't last. Out of nowhere, I heard something, a wailing, moaning sound. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard before, like the sound a wounded animal might make, but wrong. It was especially eerie because it was the only sound in the whole forest. I stopped and listened, trying to figure out what it could be. There was a chance it could have been the wind, but there was no wind at all. That didn't make sense. I told myself it was a wounded animal, even though deep down I knew it probably wasn't. I walked away until the sound faded. You're probably wondering why I didn't turn around and leave right then and there. I wish I had an answer to that. I told myself that if one more creepy thing happened, I'd be out of there. As I walked, I started thinking, how would an animal even get wounded in a place like this? Was someone hunting here? There's no way I could have missed a gunshot. Then I saw it. A tree directly in front of me had carvings, and I don't mean initials or hearts. I mean strange symbols. They didn't look like letters, just random slashes and chunks of missing bark. I scanned the trees around me, more markings. That was it. No more questioning, no more hesitation. I turned around without another thought and started backtracking, unsticking my trail makers as I went. Even as a naturally curious person, I was thinking, screw this. I followed my trail makers for a while before something in the distance caught my eye, something I hadn't seen before. It was a cave, a bear's den, maybe. I stopped, confused. There was no way I would have missed something like that. And then it hit me. My trail markers were supposed to be at shoulder height, they were at my waist. Someone had moved them, someone had been following me, someone had tried to lure me into that cave. My blood ran cold. I turned around and ran. I sprinted through the trees, my heart pounding. I had no idea where I was going without my markers. I wasn't even trying to be quiet. What was the point? The forest was dead silent apart from my own footsteps. I stopped to catch my breath and pulled out my phone, praying for a signal. One bar. By some miracle, I was able to check my location. I found my parked car's coordinates and figured out the right direction. And just like that, my signal dropped. But it didn't matter. I knew the way now. Then the wailing started again, twice as loud, twice as close. I ran faster than I ever had before. The sound was right behind me, but when I looked over my shoulder, there's nothing. After what felt like an eternity, I reached the forest edge. The wailing stopped instantly. I jumped into my car and floored it, not stopping until I was miles away. That day ruined hiking for me. Here's my best guess at what happened. Some hermit or something lives in those woods. He noticed me before I noticed him. He tracked me, moved my markers, tried to lead me to that cave. Maybe he had some kind of whistle that made that horrible wailing noise. But even that doesn't explain everything. How could someone run at full speed while making that sound? And why did the noise stop the second I left the forest? Maybe there's a reason that place is off limits to civilian. I don't know, but I'll never go back to find out. What do you think what happened that day? Have you ever experienced something similar in the wilderness? Let me know in the comments. And as always, stay safe out there.